Hi, my name is Natalie and I work for the Australian Nursing Agency. Our office is located here in the UK in the Down Under Centre. Our agency assists nurses from the UK and abroad to get you guys over to Melbourne working as a nurse in the private and public sectors. We have permanent jobs and also casual jobs, so the options are endless for you guys.
Okay, so we're just going to talk a little bit about the Australian Nursing Agency. So the Australian Nursing Agency is located in Melbourne, Australia. We are the biggest mental health agency in all of Victoria, but we also supply hospitals with all other nursing specialties. We are able to supply nurses from the UK with permanent and casual positions. So who are the Australian Nursing Agency? We recruit international nurses travelling to Australia who wish to work in Melbourne permanently or short term. A lot of nurses travel to Australia on a working holiday, and we can assist them in finding work in Melbourne and then assist them moving on to different agencies along the East Coast. We supply nurses on a casual or locum or permanent basis from both the public and private sectors in all kind of specialties. As I was explaining before, we are able to provide nurses with jobs looking in the mental health area, general and surgical nurses, midwives, and of course the specialty nurses, which are in high demand in Australia, those working in paediatric, intensive care, accident and emergency, and psychiatric nurses. So why Melbourne? Why not Melbourne, basically? Melbourne's been voted the most livable city 6 times and counting. We score 100 out of 100 in education, healthcare and infrastructure. So those migrating to Australia with a family, they can be sure that they would have a very good life in Melbourne, obviously, with all of this to show. It is the sporting capital of Australia, so we've got the MCG, we have the Australian Open every year, we have the grand final of the Australian football, we have the Melbourne Cup, which we have a public holiday for, so that's great. Obviously, Melbourne is very diverse. It's one of the most multicultural cities in Australia. We have lots of amazing food and a great cafe culture because of this. And obviously, those that love their coffee would know that Melbourne has world-class coffee to boast. So highest growth rate than any other Australian city. Now Melbourne has overtaken Sydney as the new business capital in terms of business growth, so that's also another big hit for Melbourne. Where it's a city where livability meets opportunity. So basically you can live in the city and have an amazing lifestyle. You can also live out in the suburbs and also enjoy easy sort of access into the city with great public transport, with the great infrastructure. It's a quick drive into the city, lots of freeways and highways. Melbourne's a great place to live and work. So what can Australian Nursing Agency do for you? So a lot of the nurses that are looking into getting qualifications transferred over to Australia, they would know that they would require some assistance before heading over. So before you head over and nurse in Australia, what every nurse needs is their APRA registration. So over here in the UK, they have NMC registration. In Australia, it's called APRA. Nurses will be required to fill out a specific form, a form that's called the AGOS 40, that is for the internationally trained nurses and midwives. We can provide you with assistance with your APRA registration and all inquiries obviously that go with it. So inquiries regarding all your information that you need beforehand. So getting bank accounts, tax file numbers, assistance with information on suburbs, surrounding suburbs to live, accommodation, all those things like that. In terms of nursing, I'm a nurse myself, so I can discuss what nursing is like in Australia, specifically in Melbourne, what shifts are like, what pay is like. So all those bit of information that you guys really crave on knowing before you head over there. And then upon arrival in Melbourne, we have an agency work waiting for you. Get you in for an informal interview, collect all of your documentation. What you'd be required obviously is to have registration with APRA, and you also would be required to have a valid visa to work and live in Australia. And then what we'd do is we'd start off with some locum casual shifts, get you accustomed to any kind of facilities and hospitals that you'd be working in. If you have a particular favourite or would want to start working permanently, we can also help you find permanent positions within desired hospitals. So our office is located in the UK, as mentioned previously. We're full-time 9 to 5 in the office, so we have email and phone that you guys can reach us on at any time. We're located in Greater London in Ealing Broadway, as mentioned before, in the Down Under Centre. We're a walk-in office, so you can either make appointments or just come and see me. Phone calls welcome, emails of course if that's easier for you, whichever you prefer. We'll be available to answer any questions, but that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks.